Okay, so Marc Martel, formerly of the Christian band Down Here. That's what I first knew you from, but now known for your work with Queen, kind of singing for Freddie Mercury. You've done tribute bands with him, and now with the movie, you sing a lot. Now, how much do you actually sing in the movie? Like, can you give me an insider look on that?
I can give you the non-insider line of the whole point of me being involved with the movie is so that you can't tell when I'm involved. The voice of Freddie is being portrayed by a lot of Freddie Mercury tracks, and a little bit, and some of me, and actually some of the actor Rami Malek as well. So
it's like a mix.
It's like a fun game. Like, people go see the movie and say, I think I could pick out where you were.
Do you remember? Like, can you tell?
Sticks out like a sore thumb to me.
Okay.
But almost everyone that I've spoken to, like, I couldn't tell. Like, was this a scene where you were in? Like, nope. But that's mission accomplished because people can't really tell the difference.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so you kind of starting in the Christian music realm and, having your faith, and now going into these really cool places, but kind of bringing your faith into an unlikely place, I guess. Has it been weird at all, or has it been a really positive experience?
It hasn't been weird at all, honestly. My faith goes with wherever I am, because it's a foundational part of who I am. I grew up in a pastor's home in a part of Canada that is the most unchurched part of North America. And the statistic is that less than 0.5% of people are professing Christians where I grew up, in the Montreal area. And like you said, I started this band called Down Here, and we did it professionally for 13, 14 years. We released a bunch of records, played in a lot of churches, Christian festivals. And in some way, that was kind of weird for me, because I didn't grow up at all in a Christian subculture. I went to public school. I hardly had any Christian friends growing up. I was kind of like the Christian guy at school, and I was wrestling with what that meant for me in my witness. And I had some failures in that, just being judgmental towards people. I remember a few moments looking back in high school where I just like cringed to myself. I'm like, oh, did I really say that to someone, just out of thinking that I wanted to say the right thing so that they could end up in heaven someday, And so now, when I'm a lot less involved in the church circuit, quote unquote, and it just feels a lot more natural to me. Like, I've never had, like, my dad is a church planner, evangelist, and I always looked up to him for that passion that he had. And God gave me different passions, and I've always had a very personal faith, and I want to let that shine through in my day-to-day, what I do, how I interact with people. And I'm finding that it's almost, in some ways, more rewarding when people say, I didn't know Christians could be like you. And, if I were to turn to any sort of faith, it would be based on, how you behave in your day-to-day and how you just love people. And, every day I think of, they will know you by your love, and that's kind of my MO these days.
How cool that you get the chance to do that. And I don't know, that's cool to hear that you're like, no, it's not weird, it's actually almost more normal.
Yeah,
like, we need people who are saying that, and people could probably learn from that too.
Right.
So. Yeah,
there was nothing more frightening to me than the idea of door-to-door evangelism. And we did that a couple of times when I was in youth group in high school, and I'd be like, this feels so wrong to me. Like, this goes against everything in my personality.
Are you more introverted?
Oh, very much so, yeah.
Me too. So I'm the same way. Like, when I'm sitting across from someone one-on-one, like having coffee, no problem.
Yeah.
But just walking up to someone,
I just love for spiritual conversations to come up organically.
Yeah.
That's where I really thrive, I think.
Yeah. Now, how long have you actually been kind of singing for Freddie now? Like, how long has it been? Because it's been a thing for a while.
Before I was singing for the Lord, now I'm singing for Freddie.
Well, I mean, like, singing for Freddie as his voice, but still for the Lord.
I totally understand. Just giving you a hard time.
I know.
I've been on a regular basis doing the music of Queen since 2012, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's opened a lot of doors professionally, even for more solo work of my own music. And
I really like your solo work, by the way.
Thank you.
So how has that been? Because you're known for having this incredible voice that sounds like someone else or other people. but we know you as Marc, who has this gift like himself that's really incredible. Has that been strange at all, even just kind of learning where to find your own identity in that? Or has that been, what's been good and what's been hard about that?
I'm kind of used to the whole idea of trying to find my musical identity. Even with Down Here, we had 2 lead singers. And we would, we'd send one single to radio that we thought was a great song, and then the next single would have a different guy singing on it. And so the band's identity was not obvious to most people, I think, and we struggled with that for a few years until we sort of found our pace on probably our 3rd or 4th record. So yeah, that's not a new thing to me. And since I grew up, the way that I learned to sing was by listening to other singers who I felt like were using their voice properly, and just kind of imitating them for a while and try to glean what I could from how they were doing it. So, and I've gone through different singers, like different seasons of my life. Like I sounded more like this guy, and this, in the 90s I sounded like Eddie Vedder, unfortunately, and even into the early Down Here records, which I have a hard time listening to just because of that. And
I'll have to go back. Listen.
But yeah, on my own, it was just another season of like, okay, what do I sound like now? And I've always defaulted to kind of pop rock, and I think I'm always going to lean heavily on that in just my general sound. But I'm a lot more open now to other avenues. Like, yes, I love writing my own songs, but you think of some of the greatest artists who ever lived, like Frank Sinatra, Elvis. There's probably lots more, but
2 good examples.
They never wrote any of their songs, and they're known as the greatest artists of all time. Not just singers, but artists of all time, because they would interpret these songs in their own way. And so I'm sort of exploring that world these days, where I'll release an album of covers, just kind of done in my own way, and have fun, and that'll be my creative outlet for the year. And a lot of my Facebook followers have been asking for me to put out a covers album of Queen, and it's been a long time in the making, and this year we set aside a bunch of time to do that, and I got a couple of good friends, great producers in town here to help me do that. So yeah, this new album of Queen covers is called Thunderbolt and Lightning, and it's a lyric taken from one of their songs that you may recognize.
Very, very frightening.
Indeed. And so yeah, it's like 7 Queen songs sort of done in my own interpretation. It's kind of all over the map. I've got Kevin Marcs, who joined me on Under Pressure. Bohemian Rhapsody is like this huge orchestral symphonic version that was arranged by Ben Shive, who's done a lot of Christian music. It's really all over the place, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen his one-take cover of Bohemian Rhapsody, go watch it, because it's incredible. We were talking like the vocals alone are impressive, but then you're actually playing the entire song in one take. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's one take, but it wasn't the first take, so we'll just leave it at that.
It's all at once, though. It's very impressive.